And now, Falcon 14 News, the news for you.
Good morning and welcome to Falcon 14 News. I'm Santana George.
And I'm Ashley Estrada.
Today we bring you a special broadcast on author and anthropologist Zora Neale Hurston.
Zora Neale Hurston was born on January 7, 1891 in Notasulga, Alabama to John and Lucy Potts Hurston. She was the fifth of 8 children. After her mother passed away in 1904, her strict preacher father remarried a woman only 6 years older than Zora. Hurston was a free spirit and voiced her opinion even as a child. She described her father's new wife as too busy for children and said she came across as cold. After leaving home and school, Hurston moved to Baltimore, Maryland at 26 and claimed her birth year was 1901 in order to qualify for a free high school education. She maintained this falsehood until her death. After graduating from Morgan Academy in Baltimore, Hurston went on to attend and graduate from Howard University with an associate's degree. She then transferred to Barnard College to study anthropology. During this time, Hurston's writing is birthed following a fellowship that takes her to Haiti. In order to understand Hurston, let's take a closer look at where she came from and the events that surrounded her.
In 1901, Theodore Roosevelt became president. In 1919, women gained the right to vote with the 19th Amendment being passed. Brown v. Board of Education was in 1954. This was a landmark case because it argued that separate school systems for blacks and whites violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, and the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of desegregation in schools. Eatonville was founded by several Negro men trying to find a place to settle. In 1887, they founded Eatonville, Florida, located north of Orlando. Eatonville was, and still is, continually governed by people of African American descent. Zora said she did not even know she was black until she moved from Eatonville to go to school.
Looking back on Hurston's history, one may ask, why is she not well known? Or, what were her views on discrimination?
What do you think the differences are between black people and white people?
Well, nothing that God ever made is the same thing to more than one person. That is natural. No 2 black people were ever made the same, just as no 2 white people were. We are all different, but personally, I base my differences on personality rather than on skin color.
How does being discriminated against as a woman, a writer, or even an African American make you feel?
Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not anger me. It merely astonishes me. How can anyone deny themselves the pleasure of my company? It is beyond me.
What is your stand on dealing with discrimination?
My stand is this. Either we must do something about it that the white man will understand and respect, or shut up. No whiner ever got any respect or relief. If some of us must die for human justice, then let us die. For my own part, this poor body of mine is not so precious that I would not be willing to give it up for a good cause. But my own self-respect refuses to let me go to the mourner's bench. Our position is like a man sitting on a tack and crying that it hurts, when all he needs to do is get up off it.
Well, what kind of action do you think it would take to catch people's attention on discrimination?
100 Negroes killed in the streets of Washington right now could wipe out Jim Crow in the nation so far as the law is concerned, and abated at least 60% in actuality. If any of our leaders start something like that, then I will be in it, body and soul. But I shall never join the crybabies.
Hurston's most famous book was Their Eyes Were Watching God, written in 1937, and was later turned into a movie produced by Oprah.
Despite all of her accomplishments during her lifetime, her life was far from a fairy tale. She took on many extra jobs, including domestic work as a maid, substitute teaching, and was a newspaper columnist for several newspapers. She never became wealthy off of any of her writings. Her largest royalty she ever received for any of her books was $943. Although she was married and divorced twice, she never had any kids and spent the last of her days in St. Lucy's County Welfare Home after suffering from a major stroke. She died penniless and alone on January 28, 1960. Her neighbors had to take up a collection for her burial. She remained in an unmarked grave until a writer named Alice Walker, who is best known for her novel The Color Purple, rediscovered her works and located Hurston's grave and purchased a headstone for it. And on the headstone she had Zora Neale Hurston, Genius of the South, inscribed.